Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, and the guy who called himself the black Joe Biden. No, the Joe Biden of New York. Though I kid you not, that's what he said. I will never forget when he said that. At that point, I knew I could not trust him. And I'm sure the people in New York who don't like him could probably go in even more. But today I wanted to talk about how he has now declared a state of emergency for New York City because of an influx of migrants being sent there from the border. All I can say is this: Eric Adams, you shot your own self in the foot. You and Governor Kathy Hochul. The last time, as a matter of fact, that I spoke about Eric Adams and her was back in August when they had decided to make all these new waves for different immigrant groups, or I guess you could say non-black groups in the state of New York or New York City, like giving them roads and streets and different enclaves that they could be in, I guess you can say, to give them some protection or have their culture be put upon in the city. Well, now here we are a couple months later, and he's now declaring a state of emergency because it's becoming too much. Well, that is on you. And trust and believe, I wanted this to be a triple P so bad, but then I realized this is not just affecting Eric Adams. And when I do my triple Ps, I like it to affect really just that person. But this is going to cost New York City a lot of money. Let me just say that again. It's going to cost New York City a lot of money. As a matter of fact, it said $1 billion, probably more than $1 billion because of that. But he, Kathy Hochul, and anyone else who wanted to allow a lot of these immigrants into the state, that's on them. That is their fault. So for the people who live in New York or any of my New York subscribers, you can thank them for that. But now I'm going to read this article that's coming from CNN that was posted October 7th, 2022. Mayor Eric Adams, aka the Joe Biden of New York, his words, not mine, has declared a state of emergency to help respond to the city's migrant crisis, which he told reporters Friday will cost the city $1 billion this fiscal year. Think about where that $1 billion could have went to. Now it's got to go to this. All because they want to be a sanctuary city. And trust and believe, New York City is not going to be the only place in America that's going to be dealing with this issue. We now have a situation where more people are arriving in New York City than we can immediately accommodate, including families with babies and young children, Adams said. Once the asylum seekers from today's buses are provided shelter, we would surpass the highest number of people in recorded history in our city's shelter system. The mayor is calling for federal and state aid. And because this story is fresh and new, as in it just got posted, they're saying that it's still a developing story. But luckily for me, I just went right over to the New York Times and they seem like they have more stuff added to the story because everyone's pretty much posting around about this around the same time. They said the number of people in the New York City's main shelter system has exceeded 61,000, nearing a record for the city. It says Mr. Adams said in a speech at City Hall that the city was preparing to spend $1 billion on its response and called for federal and state funding to help pay for housing and services for the busloads of migrants who have strained the city's homeless shelter system. We need help and we need it now, Mr. Adams said. Eric Adams, a Democrat who took office in January, said the city was moving forward with plans to build a tent intake rent center on Randall's Island in the East River just off Manhattan. City officials are also negotiating with cruise ship companies to house migrants on board a ship. It's gotten that packed that they have to start putting them on ships. Mr. Adams said that the city has been overwhelmed by the roughly 17,000 migrants who have arrived since April, and that he expected as many as 100,000 to arrive eventually. At least 9 more buses arrived on Thursday. The city has set up 42 emergency shelters and enrolled 5,000 children in schools, the mayor said, but he said the city urgently needed more help to provide services to migrants. Declaring a state of emergency would allow city officials to move more quickly to provide services, Mr. Adams said. He said the city was also looking for ways to send more migrants to other cities. A city recovering from an ongoing global pandemic is being overwhelmed by a humanitarian crisis, he said, adding that New York was on the edge of a precipice. Mr. Adams has received criticism over his response to the crisis from homeless advocates and city councils members who disagree with efforts to house migrants in tents and or ships. They have called for empty hotels to be used and for shelter residents to be moved into permanent housing as quickly as possible. City officials are examining housing up to 2,700 migrants on a cruise ship and in discussions with 3 cruise companies, including Carnival Cruise Line, according to a city official who was familiar with the matter. Now you got to think about this for a second. If there are that many migrants coming to your city to the point where you cannot put them anywhere, that your last resort is to put them on a cruise ship, and I'm talking about big cruise liners that are not made to house immigrants or migrants, but they're for vacation purposes, you have a problem on your hands. But again, that is Eric Adams and Kathy Hochul's issue right there. But unfortunately, it bleeds over into the actual residences of the city and even of the state, to be quite honest. The other 2 companies are Norwegian Cruise Line and Talalink, which is housing Ukrainian refugees in Estonia. City officials are considering different sites to dock a cruise ship, including a pier in Staten Island called Homeport that is between St. George Ferry Terminal and the Verrazano Bridge. Mr. Adams has criticized Governor Greg Abbott of Texas for failing to coordinate migrant arrivals with his administration and called on him on Friday to quit sending buses to New York and to spread the burden to other cities. New Yorkers are angry, Mr. Adams said. I am angry too. We have not asked for this, but you're a sanctuary city, so in a way you kind of did. You just didn't say, hey, let them all come here, but you're a sanctuary city. And like I said, back in August, if y'all remember, I did a video talking about how they made these streets and these roads and these enclaves for different migrant groups. I bet you he's not going to have enough streets to name after these new ones that's coming in. The mayor repeated calls for federal and state assistance are also putting pressure on President Biden and Governor Kathy Hochul of New York just a month before the November elections. Asked if he was putting Mr. Biden and Ms. Hochul in a difficult position, Mr. Adams said no, not at all. And something tells me he's lying through his teeth. Mr. Adams said he had spoken to Mr. Biden recently about the crisis and that Mr. Biden and Ms. Hochul understood the challenges that the city is facing. They understand that this is an urgent situation and New York needs help, the mayor said. Angelo Rofero, a spokesman for Senator Chuck Schumer, said that his office was in close communication with the Adams team and working with the New York delegation to secure resources and to get the Biden administration to do all it can to be helpful. On Friday, city officials said that roughly a third of migrants arriving in the city want to go to other destinations, including many Venezuelan immigrants who have relatives or friends in Florida. Mr. Adams said the city is working to transport those migrants to other cities. Now, that's going to be very interesting considering we know who is governing down in the state of Florida. That's going to be interesting. It's crazy that I mentioned that because I was doing a live stream. Well, Kid Gravity was doing a live stream and I was a featured guest on his show, on his live stream. And we had talked about Rhonda Satan or Rhonda Snowflake. You know, those are the 2 names that I give him, and about how a lot of people were, I guess, looting or whatever, or taking things during Hurricane Ian. And he was talking about how they had captured 4 of them and that 3 out of the 4 were immigrants. And he tried to act so shocked and surprised. I'm like, I don't know why he's acting shocked or surprised considering you're in Florida. That is a state that houses a lot of immigrants, especially a lot of Cubans. You know, a lot of them support him, even though he has declared that he is Italian. But it is what it is. But that would be very interesting to see how that all plays itself out. But Governor Wheelz said, I'm not playing with y'all. They cannot stay here in Texas with me. So I'm going to send them on a bus to wherever it is that they want to go. And when they get there, it is out of my hands. I have nothing more to do once they are on that bus and they are out of my sight. But like I said, this right here is the fault of the politrictions of these various states, cities, counties, municipalities, whatever. When you decided that you wanted to make these places sanctuary cities, this is what you get. Y'all just didn't expect it was going to happen like this. If they can drop people off in front of, or should I say on the lawn of the vice president, What makes you think that they won't just drop them off in some random place in the city that you're over? Eric Adams. I'm just going to go ahead right now and conclude the video right here. Y'all tell me what you think down in the comments. Hit that subscribe button if you are new. Make sure to press the bell twice to be notified if the bell for whatever reason is not working. I do upload my videos Premiere style, which means that you can click the notification button on the thumbnail and the notification should come your way. The links will be down in the description. I will talk to you in the next one.